Good afternoon, everybody. Hope you're all well today. It's looking a bit overcast. So I've had a great morning doing a load of harvesting of the squash and other bits and pieces, which you'll see in probably the previous video. But my main task for the rest of this afternoon is to start thinking about seed saving. It's such a busy time, isn't it? We're harvesting, bottling, prepping the ground for winter and seed saving, but it's one of my absolute favourite things to do if it doesn't rain on me. I really love saving my seed, and I can't quite put my finger on why I love it so much. I think it's to do with that idea of being sort of self-reliant. The idea of putting one of my teeny tiny seeds in and it turning into a stonking great plant covered in vegetables or covered in beautiful flowers next year from my seed. It's so fantastic. And actually, usually I end up with far more seed than I need. So that's one of my other joys in life, is I then get to share it. Share your own seed and do swapsies. Yay! So I'm just starting with the calendula. Some of them are still quite green. Let me just show you, there's a couple of really ripe ones here I've picked already. And what I'll do with these, I'll just snip the heads off, hang them in a paper bag in the shed to let them dry out further. You see that? You see how ripe they are? And then these little dark bits inside, that's the seed. As they get drier and drier, they will just drop out of the flower heads. They might need a bit of a shake, bit of a help, but into the paper bag, where I'll let them carry on drying for a bit longer. And then in the middle of winter, when it's a cold, chilly, dark afternoon, I'll get myself a mug of tea on the go in the shed, and I'll start sorting out the seeds from all the rubbishy bits. Bring it on! So I'll go around and look at all the flowers today. The stock will have to wait because the stock have only just flowered now. One of the other things in this bed, I've just got a couple here to show you, is the chickpeas. Now the chickpeas, like so many of my peas and beans in general, I dry them anyway for consumption. Let's just pop one of these open. So as I'm podding the harvest for my store of food, you'll be able to see them. Whoops, I dropped one. Look tiny at the moment, but once they've had an overnight soak, they really plump up. Now the thing is, if you're drying your peas and beans like me to store them as dried for food, please remember to set some aside as seed for next year, because a rookie error from me this year, I completely forgot with the broad beans. I had such a fantastic harvest, the best plants I've ever had, the most plants I've ever had, the most beans. I was so excited, I scoffed the blooming lot of them. Well, either scoffed them or froze them, and I completely forgot to save any for seed. So I'll have to buy some broad bean seed, but excuse me, hopefully with the vast majority of the veggies this year, I save my own seed and not really have much of a seed bill next year, which is great. So in a second, I'm going to go around the garden and just literally have a look at each of the different veggie patches, the different groups of vegetables, and decide which ones I'm going to save for seed, which ones can come out and be eaten. Just have that kind of mental earmarking so that I don't accidentally eat everything, which is what I did with the broad beans and what I've done with all the veggies in previous years. So let's go and have a look around the garden and see what we can save for seed. So this last little couple of rows of celery, it's all looking a little bit tatty and faded now. But what I found last year was the couple I left in over winter, and I thought they'd pretty much died, came back in the spring and started to give me seed. Unfortunately, they were in the way, so I had to come out, so I didn't get any seed. Anyway, what I've decided this year based on where these celery are, is these guys will stay in over winter. I might give them a bit of fleece, and they are for my seed saving next year. Woohoo! Again, sort of obvious things like the beans as I pod them, and the beautiful corn as I gather those dried cobs. I will remember to set some of those aside for seed for next year, because I definitely want flint corn next year. Now, I've already decided, you might have seen a few weeks ago, that, oh, it's not a very good shot from that side, is it? That this cucumber is my seed saving cube. Give it a few. Oh, it's starting to get a bit soft. I'm waiting for it to get really, really, really ripe. Then I will have the seeds out, and I will use the fermentation method, save some, and hopefully have another load of gorgeous long green marachas next year. The peppers, all I will do with the peppers when I cut into them to cook with them, this stalk in the middle that's got all the seeds on, I will simply set that aside for a few days to dry out, and then pick all the little seeds off, give them another few days to dry, and that will be my seed for next year. The squash, as you'll see in the squash video I did the other day, they're all harvested now. Oh look, little sad squash patch with no squash left in it. I'm wondering about saving seed from them at all, because they weren't good this year. I might just try and exchange some of my other seeds for pumpkin seeds from other folk who've had better pumpkin years than me. Here's the lovely Coco de Pampole bed. Now what I've decided, again it's all about earmarking, is this whole end of the bed I'm going to leave these plants completely alone, much as I did with the rocking core. So these pods will just dry on the plants. When they're really, really dry, I'll have them off, pop out the bean, which will actually be my seed, just set it aside on a tray to do some further drying, and that will be seed for next year. Of course, I will be saving sunflower seed. The bed at the end of the cold frame that had all the nigella in it, they came out really quite ages ago, and I've got some hanging to dry, and they've been dropping their seeds like mad, so I'll have plenty of nigella. Likewise, I will do the same with the cosmos, but not yet because it's still flowering. But what I really want to get the seed from this year, the cornflowers. Oh, hey Bessie. So with these cornflowers, look at these deep purple ones. What I'll do with this is, once it's gone over, I'm just going to take the whole sort of bunch of plant out, hang it upside down with a paper bag around it, and just let those seeds drop out. Again, I'll do that in the shed. So, speaking of shed, let's go and have a look at the seed saving that's going on in there. And while we're there, someone can have a cuddle and a feed. And the seed saving goes on. A lot of these I will have for eating. I've just put the Hessian sacks underneath for now, just to stop them dropping through. Actually, looking at them like this, they need spreading out a bit more. So the majority of those will be for food. And then down here, let me just show you. So I've just got a couple here to show you. They're almost there in dryness. This was a slightly underdeveloped gigantis. Are these ones any better? Oh, sorry, I'm wiggling around everywhere. Now I've had a couple like this. I don't know what's caused it. Is that damage? So that is not worth saving either as seed, and I'm not sure that I even want to eat it. I might boil up and see if that's just on the surface. But yeah, so just remember with the beans that you're drying for food to save a few for next year's seed. Oh, is that all that was in there? So there's some lovely bolotti seed for next year. So even though they feel really quite dry, I will just put them on trays to give them a little bit more of a dry. And then this is the rock and core, which have been up on the drying rack for, gosh, I think about 3 or 4 weeks now. And they really do feel bone dry. It's quite hard to do with one hand. Hang on. I need to become a bit more ambidextrous, don't I? Such beautiful little beans. Absolutely gorgeous. Now these ones, in terms of remembering what to save and what to eat, are quite easy because I generally eat the rock and core for its pod, so when it's young and fresh and gorgeous waxy yellow. So all of this lot will be for seed saving, but I'm going to have masses, so I think I will this year, for the first time ever, I think I will try to rehydrate them and cook with them and see how they taste as a cooked bean, and if they're any good, I shall just remember next year to leave even more to dry for both the seed and for eating. Yum, yum, yum. I did just also, whilst I was outside, I quickly checked to look to see how the cosmos seed are going. In terms of, like I was saying, just kind of identifying the plants you want to save, what I've decided is the little patch at the end of the cold frame bed, I'm going to let that whole little patch go to seed. That means the patch that's at the top nearest the main path, I will keep deadheading and keep those going for both the birds and for folk walking past. So over the coming 3-4 weeks, it's going to be all about harvesting, storing, preserving and saving seeds. So why don't you get in your garden today? Go and have a little walk around and see which things you can save for seed. Keep that in your mind so you don't dig them up and eat them. And have fun experimenting with your own seed. And if you end up with loads, do some swapsies. Have a chat to other folk on your allotment. If you don't have a garden in a communal site, perhaps you have friends who are gardeners, either through a social club or mums at school gates or dads at school gates, obviously, sorry, or within your church groups, whatever it is. Get other friends involved with seed saving, and then you could have, in the middle of winter when everyone's feeling a bit down in the dumps at the short days, you could have a little seed swap party. Get everyone to bring a cake or something else they've made, some food from the allotment, get your little packets of seeds out and get swapping and sharing. Yay! I think I'm going to have to do that in my shed. A little seed swap in my shed. Brilliant, can't wait. I have to wait though because there's more work to be done, which I should go and do now. So for now, I'm going to say, opla, I just realised my, with my glasses on, you can't see my eyes because of reflections, so I'll turn this way and say, cheerio for now. Happy seed saving, happy earmarking the plants that you want to save seed from if the seed isn't ready yet, and happy seed swapping at some point in the next few weeks. See you all soon. Take care.